I have my zipper finished now. I used a back stitch all the way down, and then I carefully tacked it along the edge to hold it in place a little bit better. Now, I'm going to sew my lining to this zipper, so I want it in there securely. While I was finishing it, I want to reinforce the handle. Now, this knitted handle will continue to stretch and stretch and stretch until it gets probably about another 6 or 7 inches longer. And I don't want that to happen. So I need to reinforce it with something that will keep it taut, that will keep it from stretching too much. I have some cord that was from one of those little things that goes around your neck for an ID badge or something. And I have carefully laid it down, okay, along the inside. The inside. It's not exactly the same color, but finding something exactly this color would be difficult. I have tacked it along and making sure it's where I want my handle to be when I carry it. My next step, of course, will be to tack this in place. Now, I'm just going to use a simple stitch, probably fairly close together. I'm going to try to keep it in the middle. I could drop it down in here like that, but I think that might be a little funny looking. So I'm just going to tack it gently to the handle. The zipper turned out very nicely, by the way. I still have to finish the end here, but we'll finish that after the lining's sewn in. Okay, let's get the zipper to sit there nicely so you can see it. I wanted it close enough that the zipper almost disappears, but far enough away so that I won't catch any of the yarn in the zipper. I will finish this off later. Right now, I'm going to start hand sewing this the same way I did here, but in this case, I think I'll probably just use a very small, what do you call it, stitch? Overcast stitch, I think is what you call it. Just a very small overcast stitch on both sides, up and down, and we'll call that one done. I have another purse that I made, and I reinforced it also, but it was a much thinner wool and was felted very well, and I was able to stitch it. I don't think I can stitch this one. If I try to stitch it, I will crush that gorgeous thick band. Anyway, let me finish this and I'll be right back. I have finished stitching that little piece of tape to my handle, and I think I like it very much. My next job is to attach the lining up here where the zipper is. And to do that, I'm also going to hand stitch it because, like I said, I think my sewing machine would not do a real good job of it. I fitted the handle. Remember, we stitched the edges, this corner, we basted that to the inside of the purse. I put a pin there, and then I very carefully worked the lining up to where it fits, like this, and pinned it on the outside. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to trim this, and I'm just simply going to take my scissors and trim it back a little bit. Let me do that. I don't want a big seam. I want it to just turn over enough, about like that. So I'm going to trim it right where that zipper is. Making sure I don't get too much. Now, if I have to, I can slash the where it turns under if I need to. That's one side. Then all I'm going to do, because I have it pinned here away from where I'm going to stitch, I can just basically turn it under enough, okay, and readjust my pins, and I will stitch it right over where I stitched the zipper to the other side. A simple stitch, nothing fancy. Let me pin that, and I will pin that and work it as I go and make sure it's exactly where I want that lining to be. Even it out. Now, when I pinned it in, I made sure that the seam, the front and the back of that lining, matched that the middle point of my handle. I also, when I stitch my tape in, I stitched it down a ways. And what I'm going to do is just turn that under a little bit, like that, and I will stitch that very thoroughly there, because that's going to carry the weight of my purse, that stitch there, because the knit is going to stretch, and I don't want a whole bunch of stretch right here on the side where the basic the weight of the handle is. Anyway, so we'll continue around. I might give that just a little more down until I like where it's going to sit. I think I like that. Anyway, you need to just kind of feel and remember what you're going to be doing with this purse. It's probably going to carry 10 pounds of junk. It needs to be sturdy enough to do that without stretching it out of shape. Maybe just a little bit farther down. Anyway, I'm going to pin this the rest of the way, a little bit at a time, and then I'll check. There we go. One side's pinned in. I think that's what we want. Let's try the other side now. Again, we're going to trim it, making sure we don't get it too short. I'd hate to do that, because then I'd have to start all over again. When I'm pinning this, I usually like to start in the middle. The lining's all pinned in. Ouch. Okay. It seems to be fairly uniform on the inside. I still have that pin there, and if I pull on it, you can see that it's quite even. I'm going to let that pin go before I forget about it. Okay, when I finish stitching the lining, the only thing left to do is to finish off the zipper. And I'm just going to take a simple little stitch and baste this in place right along that seam there where I stitched the zipper in. Let me start that, and I'll be right back. The lining is all attached, and I think it's going to work out just fine. I've got my pockets on either side. I have enough room in the bottom for my wallet. The only thing left to do is to attach my little pom-pom to my pull and finish off the zipper. To finish off the zipper, I'm just going to cut it off. This was a separating zipper from my stash, and I've had it for years, and I had yet to use it on anything, so I'm going to use it on this. To finish that zipper off, I'm just going to cut it. I'm not going to tuck it in here or anything, because I like my zipper to lay up on my handle like that. So I marked where I want it. I'm going to just take and put a few stitches across it to keep the zipper from coming undone. Now, they make special little metal pieces to put across this, but I don't have any of those. And this will work just fine. About a half a dozen stitches will do it. Now, I'm going to leave my needle and thread in there, and I'm going to take my scissors and just clip it close, but not too close. I don't want to cut any of my stitches. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull this in here on both sides like that, and I'm going to stitch that shut like that. I'm going to go to the other side and stitch it shut. And then catch it on the back because I don't want it to come undone. Now, my zipper slider will slip into this without any difficulty at all. I've done this before with zippers, and it works very nicely. I just want to make sure it's nice and secure. Don't want to let it go. Now, by making a neat little piece like this, I can now take some of this material that I used to back this, and I'm going to close my zipper because I want to size this where I want it. I want it about there. I'm going to pin it there so it won't move. Is that about what I want? So that when I pull my zipper, all I have to do is grab a hold of the handle instead of fishing around for that little other piece in there. Now, I have some of this left, and I'm going to just lay a piece over like that and stitch it down. Let me do that. I had considered, how much do I need? About that much. Slitting this in the back so that I can pull it around. I'm going to slit it in the back. I may or may not pull it around. Now I could pull it over that like that, and a couple of stitches should hold it. If I can find my needle. Hold it there. Go to the back. Pull it down, hold it again, come to the other side, hold it down, and that's going to be a little difficult. I'll get it. Make sure I cover the front there. I think I'll make sure I cover the front first. Here, catch that. Pull it in, fold it over, and I think I can catch it all. Now I'm just going to stitch it here. To my little tab. There we go. I want it as neatly done as possible. Now, before I call this done, I want to go all the way through that handle, making sure I catch this. And put a couple stitches there because I don't want that to come loose. It may show a little bit on the back side, but I don't think it'll show that much. I'll try to run it underneath my knitted stitches and back up on the other side. And I'm going to go down again. I just don't want it to come loose. And I'm stitching it to the this little tape that's underneath, not necessarily to the knitted fabric. Okay, let's call that done. And we're going to hide our knot. Go. Now, when I want to close it, all I have to do is grab this here, and it goes closed. Now, we talked about our little pom-pom, and I'm trying to decide how to put the little pom-pom on to make it good and sturdy, and I think I will just tie it on. One through there, one through here, tie it. Nice knot. I don't know how long the pom-pom will last. That's a good question. And I'm not going to make you wait for it, but I'm going to get a needle and thread these and push it up through the pom-pom and cut the excess off. And I have some fabric glue, and I will glue this knot. Whether I use that to zip it or not, it's still kind of cute. Anyway, my purse is virtually done except for finishing off the pom-pom. That I will do in a little bit. Anyway, here we go. Purse. I've got my pocket for my cell phone. I've got a pocket for my rescue inhaler. And I have a pocket for assorted other things that I don't want to leave loose in the bottom of my purse because they might get damaged. I like making these little purses. In fact, sometimes I just make them because I feel like making them. I use them for a while and it's time for a new one. It's getting close to spring, and this is going to be a spring purse. And it used up a whole bunch of my old rug yarn. And the rug yarn, I still have some left. I'm not too sure what I'll do with it. It really makes neat pom-poms, though. I really like those pom-poms. Maybe I'll do some more of those and put them on something else. I hope you like this. I enjoy just making things. No pattern particularly, just making it. And it's one of my passions. And I'm retired now, so I get to do that. If you like my video, like and subscribe, and I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.